Hey, look, I thought it was gonna be. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be like a token. That was your thing.
Nah, I can't do it.
Why'd you change it?
Yeah, I got flamed up. I got held accountable for my mugs. So,
we don't let nothing slide.
I walked in. I was like, man, he got a new mug. He's like, look, the people have spoken. They roasted him in. So listen.
If I call you bro, that means I love you, bro. That means I'll go to war with you.
Fire, baby.
The reason why you need to know your identity is because when you know who you are, people don't get to define it for you. So when I tell you guys who you have in your circle is important.
You're listening to the Bros to Men podcast with Cameron Persad, Jeff T. Osborne, and Roy Rand.
Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's another episode of the Bros to Men podcast.
Yo.
Hey, listen, you know who it is. It's your boy, J.O.
Cam, good to see y'all, man. Happy
boy
Thanksgiving.
Roy, a.k.a. Dips.
Yes,
man, always continued love and gratitude for everybody who's here, who's been tuning in. The love has been unreal. The comments have been amazing, fellas.
Blessings.
I mean, it's been unreal. Yo, look, before we get started, I just want to give it up right now and just show some love to Dips, who changed out the mug and got a new mug.
he gave Granny the mug back.
Yo, hey, look, I thought it was gonna be. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be like a token. That was your thing.
I can't do it.
Why'd you change it?
Yeah, I got flamed up. I got held accountable for my mugs. So,
we don't let nothing slide.
I walked in. I was like, man, he got a new mug. He's like, look, the people have spoken. They roasted him in. So listen, hey, I just want to start off, man, by showing you, giving you your flowers for a new mug.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about this episode. Listen, this is our special Thanksgiving Day Bros to Men podcast episode. So if you're in the kitchen, if you're cooking up, if you're getting your stomach ready, getting ready for some grub, I pray that this is going to be something that's going to be nice for you guys to listen to. And today, as we focus, and this month, actually, you brought it up. What month is it today?
It's Men's Health Awareness Month. So we probably going to tap in. We really care about men out there because we want you guys to tie in on our experiences to help you guys grow, and you guys help us grow and helping us deliver what we think is some value. So we want to just help out any way we can.
Not just that, man. It's all connected, right? If the physical ain't right, the mental ain't right, the spiritual ain't right. It's all the same, man. It's all one accord, bro.
And not just for men, but also for the
ladies as well.
The ladies and the women who are watching, and kids, teenagers. So we want to give something for everybody. But yo, so check this out. We ain't even gonna hesitate. There's the topic that's been bubbling. It's been on our thread. We've been talking about it for a while, and I think this is one of the keys to really to breaking depression off of our life, anxiety off of our life. This is something I think is often overlooked, and we're going to talk about it today on this podcast, and that is living with an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude, being thankful for what you have. What are the things that stop us from being grateful? How do we start being grateful? And even what are some of the physiological, the physical signs that happen when we become grateful? And we're going to talk about that today because I really believe that gratefulness is a major key to elevation in your life. And so we're gonna open up this topic today. We're gonna talk about gratefulness. We're gonna talk about gratitude. But really, in the light of everything, Cam, we were talking in the car driving over here, and Dips, we were talking as well. But we talked about why gratitude is so powerful. And one of the things you brought up, and we were all talking about this yesterday, is how the podcast started and where it came from. Why don't we segue into that, and then we'll just break into where this is at?
Yeah. Where the podcast is rooted is in a friendship, right? A brotherhood. 20 plus years. I think I met my boy Jeff. We're 12, 13? 7th grade, 6th grade, something like that. Dips came along shortly after. So you're talking about 20 years of a brotherhood here. And in light of the topic gratitude, Jeff and I were having a conversation while I was at work one day. And like I've mentioned before, about your tribe and your circle and how important it is to have people that can pour into you and you're having one of those moments. And I was actually kind of overwhelmed with emotion. I just started a new job. As a lot of you know, I was kind of out of the workforce for a long time. I was very sick. I was in recovery from an organ transplant. And I called my brother one day. I was working at an international airport. I was overseeing the public safety and the security aspects of the airport. And I called my boy and I was like, bro, you have a moment. And we just started having the conversations we have, right? Where I'm expressing gratitude, and I'm just talking about, the memories we have when we didn't have any money and we're trying to pitch it on the gas tank, and we're hitting the recycling shops, man. You got any cans, you got any plastic, hit this, his mom got some, And I remember I was kicking back in the terminal, and I had him on speaker. I was like on my lunch break, and I have him on speaker. And I remember one person being near me, but he had headphones on, so I didn't think he's hearing anything that's going on. Right. So I'm kicking back, and I have the phone like this, and Jeff begins to express how grateful he is because just a couple years ago, we were kind of both in this transition phase. Mine was health related, yours more like career related, and going to a different trajectory. And he starts talking about just how important it is to be grateful and to not just be grateful for the big things that are coming to your life, but to be grateful for the small things you have while waiting for those big things to come in, right? Which is very difficult to do. So anyways, this conversation goes on for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, all right, bro, I love you, man. I'll talk to you. Hang up the phone. I get like a little on the back shoulder. So I'm like, what's going on, bro? He was like, yo, dog, I heard everything. And he was like, all that stuff you were talking about, I need that. He was like, because far too often we overlook those small things that lead to bigger things, right? And there's a process in a gratitude-filled life where it's not about just being content or just feeling unsatisfied while waiting for the big thing. No, it's appreciating those small things, and eventually those small things build up to receiving that big blessing, right? That we're ultimately forever grateful for. Yeah. So that sparked me telling J.O., hey, I started to call you back, bro, but the young brothers told me this. And J.O. was like, yo, we need to get with Dips. And let's talk about some of this stuff, right? Because it was that person, that passenger at the airport suggested that you guys need to record what you guys are talking about. And if you do one episode, tag me in it and bless us with that. So here we are, 7 episodes later, Bros and Men podcast.
Thousands of views.
And it started from gratitude. It started from gratitude. So we keep saying gratitude, thankfulness, Thanksgiving. What is gratitude in your, I love your perspective, Dips, when you always give it to us. But what is gratitude? And if somebody really doesn't know what that is, explain that.
Man, gratitude is the foundation for everything that grows. It's the soil for anything that's going to grow. Just being thankful and choosing what you got. And I talked about this on my story the other day. A lot of people don't choose what they were given, but what they were given was the perfect thing they needed to grow. You have to literally be grateful for your problem. So if you think about it,
say that. Go in right there.
If you think about it, let's say you got, a car, maybe it's a beat down car, like my 1987 Honda Accord I had.
And that was the one where you could see the street from inside the car.
Where you can see the street from inside the car, literally like the Flintstones, right?
Yeah, straight up, no exaggeration.
And it may be hard to be grateful for something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Just talk about that, yeah.
If you got a brand new Benz that you worked years for, saved up, got your credit right, how are you going to treat that Benz? You're going to be out there waxing it. You're going to be taking care of it, making sure they're checking the oil, making sure it's on point. The things that we are grateful for, we take care of. So if you have to take your experiences, your problems, your issues, and transform them into what you want, into the good things, you got to be grateful for them so you can take care of them. So being grateful for everything that happens to you, taking responsibility for everything that happens to you is the foundation and the soil so that you can transform yourself and get out and go to where you want to go.
Okay, but you said something that we ain't going to overlook this because we're going to keep it real. You said even when you driving a car that's a Flintstone mobile, right? And you see the bottom of your car. You can see the street at the bottom. You're driving right now. There ain't no way in that moment you feeling grateful for that. So what when you get, because this is one of the biggest frustrating things is how do you remain grateful in a season where you feel like you're in the hallway, right? You're in, when I say the hallway, you're in between seasons. Things aren't happening. Doors aren't opening up. You're driving a bucket at that time. You've seen the floor. How were you still grateful in that moment when you were looking at that car? And how are you grateful in those moments?
I was grateful because I could still have, drive and be able to get around, which was huge because I had a job. But there's a quote, it says, existence precedes essence. And what that means is you're alive, so you should be grateful. Anything that comes after that is just extra. And a lot of times when we have something, the cause of all human negativity is loss, less, or never.
Wait, say that again?
Loss, less, or never. We're either depressed about losing something or having less of something, or we're anxious about never getting something.
Wow. Right? Hey, what are you talking right now, bro?
Whoa. So, happy Thanksgiving. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So when we have less or something or lose something, we naturally feel those negative emotions. But if we can, in that moment, just think about what we're grateful for. At any time, you can close your eyes and think about what you're grateful for. And a lot of people aren't naturally grateful. They have to intentionally be grateful. And you know, us, we intentionally were grateful, and now we're naturally grateful. And you could just try this on people to see kind of how the mind works. Is you kind of get around and just ask them, what are you grateful for? And you'll see how people get caught up. They're like, I don't know.
Right. But you know, that takes a lot of constantly surveying and auditing what's in your life too. And that's something else we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
And I think gratitude starts with waking up in a sense of gratitude on a daily basis. So just to piggyback a little bit like what Dips was saying, like I remember, I don't remember what pastor said it, but years ago I heard something and a pastor said in a sermon that, you know, your complaint is someone else's prayer request.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that stuck with me. And that's huge because, like Dips was saying, he may have been complaining about the state of his current car, but that person on that bus stop in the rain was praying for that car as Dips was driving by, right? And you might be complaining about the job that you have because you're not making the money that you would like to make, but there's someone who has in the negative balance at home right now trying to feed their family on this turkey day. And they're saying, Lord, if you just give me a job, I'll take minimum wage at this point just to put something on the table for my family, right? So thinking of that, you know, what you're complaining about that someone else praying for right now, at least for me,
game changer.
Has always kept me in that state of gratitude.
We were talking when we were driving, bro, and every time we drive out here, we pass the Twin Towers, right?
Yep.
And when we pass the Twin Towers, that's LA County Jail. What people don't understand, if you're tuning in and you're just now watching this, is that was my home for almost a year while I was fighting my case. And I was looking at 16 years to life going through this moment. I remember being on the bus, and every time we would be going between here and Wayside, which is out past, it was like near Santa Clarita, Six Flags area. I remember I'd be on the bus and I'd be shackled up with my hands and I'd be looking at all the people to the right of me in their cars. I would look at the people who were even on the streets, who were digging through trash cans. And I would say this prayer to God, like, God, I wish I was in their scenario. And I would do things like, man, okay, if I had to go and be a gardener for the rest of my life, or if I had to go and do a job that I didn't want to be for the rest of my life just to be free, God, I would do that. And I would pray for this problem. Man, I wonder what it would be like to wonder how you going to pay rent, how you going to put gas in your car. And so fast forward when God, you know, set me free from 16 years of life after I went into prison, then I remember when I would get out, and I'd be thinking about, man, how am I going to pay this rent? Or how am I going to do these things in the beginning stage before we even got to where we are? Those moments of those prayers that I prayed for in that moment would bring gratitude because now I actually get to face that problem. And I think one of the biggest things that we mess up on is we fail to realize that the only reason why we're facing these new problems is because God got us past the old problem that you didn't think you were going to get through. Like you, come on.
About it,
bro. You know those problems where you like, man, God, there's no way I'm going to be able to get through this. You start making every deal in the book with God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to go to church on Sunday. God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Right? And so you feel like these problems are going to be the end of your life. And then all of a sudden you get through it without you even recognizing it. And you hear people say, my God, if it's not one thing, it's another thing. And I'm always coming through these different problems. And I tell them, like, yo, it's a perspective shift. When you live with an attitude of gratitude, it shows you, like, yo, the only reason why I'm where I'm at today facing a new problem
because I made it through that last one.
Because I made it through the last problem. And that's just a sign and an indicator that God is always working on your behalf, whether you want to recognize it or not. And I think that is one of the keys to gratitude. Like you said, Cam, gratitude isn't something that just comes natural. You have to train yourself to be grateful. So what are some of the things that I know, some of the things that I do to be able to be grateful. Start off in the morning, and before I'm even up, I don't ask God for anything in the morning. I don't start trying to plan my day. I'm not looking on Instagram, not looking on Twitter.
Thank you.
The first thing I'm waking up, I roll over, I give my wife a kiss, and I say, thank you, God, that I woke up again today. So when you did, we talked about some of constantly being in this position of gratitude. What does that look like when you wake up in the morning and you're giving gratitude? Is gratitude or living with a grateful heart or being thankful for what you have, is that you ignoring the problems that are around? Because you get some people like, oh yeah, everybody asks me, yo, how you doing? I say, yo, I'm having the best day of my life. I woke up today.
I say life is great. They're like, really? With everything you've gone through in the last couple years, life is great. Life is fantastic.
So is that because you didn't have any problems in your life? Is that because people think when you're grateful or you're walking around with joy, you said joy is a choice. I love when you said that. It's a choice. You started this episode off by saying it's a choice to be grateful. How do you make that choice every day when you know that you got stuff around you? Do you ignore and pretend like you ain't got no problems? What does that look like?
It's an existential act. It's literally focusing on being grateful. So, for example, when you wake up, the first thing you do when you wake up sets the foundation for the entire day. So when you wake up and the first thing you do is like today, I woke up, turned over, and was like, yo, thank you. I was super happy. I woke up smiling like, y'all get to do a pod with the bros. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get up in a minute, get some coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
Went, got some coffee. And I'm just, kind of going over things, looking at the numbers. It's like, hey, we getting views out here.
Right.
And it just starts with the first thing you want to do is set that foundation for gratitude. And it may seem easy because people ask me that too. Like, how's your day? I always say, they like, how are you doing? I say, I'm perfect. And they're like, oh.
Right. Like they're blown away.
Like, I'm alive, bro. I'm alive. And I guess it's that comparison, right? And like we talk about all the time, the best part about having money is talking about the times we didn't have money. It's all about that comparison. But in the times when we didn't have, we still were grateful. Where did that come from? And why aren't people grateful usually? Because I can't remember. I can remember times not being grateful and just being, I got to figure it out. But I always got back to my roots because God has never failed me. I always got back to my roots, which was prayer on my knees. Please, and that always got me through. But what do you think keeps people from being grateful?
I'm going to leave that over to you.
I'm about to toss it to you, bro. No, I mean, I think what Dip said is right on point, and I think it starts here, and I think, regardless of the storm that's going on around me, I'm still thanking God for each and every thing that comes my way. And I think it's because, again, I was talking about being able to see this bigger picture. And I realized that everything I've been through has made me the person I am today. And the morals and the character and the strength that I feel I have, I'm able to stand now because I was on my knees before. You know what I mean? And that is what has ultimately given me the perspective that I have.
Right.
So we were kind of talking about this on the way over here, and it's almost like, I get emotional when I'm talking about it because people say, with everything going on and the losses that you've taken recently, how can you still get up every day and just like, smile like you haven't felt that pain? And I was telling J.O., and I was like, man, there was a time where I didn't know I was going to be able to get up. Right. There was a time where I was so physically weak, I couldn't get up.
Come on, Cam.
So for me, I wake up every day in gratitude. And like you mentioned, the first thing in my mouth is like, God, thank you. You know what I mean? Because there was a time where you don't know what the next day is going to hold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to be able to get up and just see another day and to have the opportunity to resolve those problems, right? Because there was a time in my life where people were telling me, we don't know if we can resolve these problems for you.
Right. It's and you're talking about when you had your...
When I was sick. When I was sick, right? And they're like, we don't know if there's anything we could do. It's out of our hands. We got to see if the organ will come through, if your body will accept it. They're going like this. So I'm like, just the fact that I got the opportunity to go hands on and try to tackle my daily problem, I prayed for that.
Okay, so in that moment though, you're looking at death. They gave you how many years to live?
It's like 6 to 10 years that you need this organ transplant.
Right, and so you're going to dialysis every single day.
Yeah, 3 to 5 days a week.
3 to 5 days.
4 hours a day.
4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And dialysis is what?
Dialysis.
So for some people who don't know that,
they're putting 2 needles in your body. One needle is pulling blood out of you. It's put into this refrigerator-looking machine. The refrigerator is cleaning your blood of toxins and the stuff that the kidney naturally does for you that's no longer able to do. The other needle is putting the blood back into you so that it's filtering the toxins in your system and getting rid of the excess fluid that healthy functioning kidneys would do for you.
Okay, so you're looking at that you're coming in every day to have that done. They're telling you need 6 to 10 years to try to get a kidney transplant.
Right.
That you need. The chances are what for you to be able to get that?
It's slim. I'll say that because California says that 15-year average you get a kidney transplant. But the thing is, what people don't realize is that this modality that's keeping you alive until you get this transplant is causing so much trauma to your body on the daily basis. It's beating up your body. It's making your heart work so hard because you got to think about it this way. What the kidneys do for you in 24 hours, this machine's doing for you in 3 or 4. Yeah. So the pressure that your heart is under while all your blood is leaving your body and coming back, it often causes an enlarged heart muscle. Yeah. Well, Dips coming from the medical field, when people need major surgery with an enlarged heart, what happens? They get turned away. Yeah. You're not healthy enough to go under major anesthesia for the surgery. You're not going to make it after surgery.
Yeah.
So what did you focus on in that moment? Because you didn't have you ain't waking up like, good morning, right? You're not like, so what did you focus on in that place? In that place, in your darkest moment, what was the thing that you focused on?
I still focused on gratitude, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people say that's impossible.
But gratitude on what?
Gratitude on just waking up to have another day to fight. Another day where I can still be on the transplant list. Another day where my name is still being considered. And I'll tell you why. When you're in an environment like a dialysis clinic, it's funny. You're in these chairs. Picture a room with 20, 30 chairs, right? You're assigned to a chair. In the 6 years I was there, you know how many neighbors I saw not come back? Hey, what happened to Mr. So-and-so? He passed away over the weekend. He went into cardiac arrest. That is what happens, bro. That is what happens when you're in these dialysis chairs. So just the fact that I can come back and have another day to still be considered for an organ transplant, how could you not be grateful? And see, the thing is that us young people who go through things, people of color, people who have it tougher than others in life, we spend the majority of our life in survival mode. Yeah. It's hard to be grateful when you're in survival mode. It's hard because I'm just trying to get through. What do I have to be grateful for, right? Every time you're stuck with trauma, you're experiencing something, you're trying to make it out. I'm just trying to survive. So it's hard to say thank you when you're just trying to.
Is gratitude the secret or the route to get you out of survival mode in the moment? Is gratitude that thing that's going to kind of loosen you up so you can get to work and not be so stressed out, but you're still taking action?
I look at gratitude as it's a daily workout. Because it's not easy to do.
Your gratitude is a muscle you got to work out in your life.
It is a muscle that you have to work out every single day, right? And in order to lift more weight, you have to be able to lift the weight that you currently have. Ooh. So I say, and I've said this before, the only way that you can handle, the only way that you will be able to handle what's going to come your way in the future is being able to navigate what you're currently going through. So if you can't navigate what you currently have, how can you expect to be blessed with more and abundance in the future? So I tell people this all the time. I said, look, what's coming your way is coming your way for a reason. And I wrote a book on that while I was sick, right? Yeah. And the book that the message behind that was that you have to be able to handle what's given to you now in order to be able to manage what's coming your way in the future. And I believe that. I believe God gives you what's going to challenge you now so that you can be blessed with more in the future. And I think the way you handle it now determines what you'll be given.
Why did you write the book?
Because I say this often. I always say that when you love somebody, you share your experiences with them so they don't have to deal with it.
He wanted to help others.
I wanted to help others. That's what it was.
That's good. And wanted to help others. You know, I remember me and Cam were having a conversation probably 10 years ago. And Cam was just like, yo, we're so blessed. I can't, like, what are we going to do with these blessings? Like, this ain't for us. These blessings is so that we can help others. Yeah. And that's where Like Minded was born out of. And, you know, we always did like sock drives or toy drives and things for the community. And there's something really attached with gratitude and giving.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not about me, it's about them. Yeah. And when you think about helping others, even when you're facing death, you know, I'm facing death. How can I help other people? That's a powerful, courageous act to get out of yourself. And how can I help other people by helping them, sharing my struggle?
No, we had a saying that like-minded that you're going to find your calling in life through acts of service.
Yeah, and that's everything. And you know what's crazy is when you look at that, the greatest acts of giving, when you're grateful for having life, you naturally want to be able to give. And there's a lot of people who watch us, and we, you know, we're men of faith, but there's a lot of people who watch us and they're like, man, I want to get close to God. How do you get close to God? And I think about Psalms 100 verses 4. It says, enter God's gates with thanksgiving. And so the first way to get into the presence of God through the gate is just thanksgiving. It's saying, God, thank you for what you've given me the opportunity to have. Thank you for this. But you said something, dude, that I feel like in these moments where you're being thankful and you're thanking God for this, you said you wake up with gratitude for the opportunity to be able to fight. And I think sometimes we don't realize that gratitude is thanking God for what you have right now, but inside of every piece of gratitude or what you're thanking God for is another opportunity. So when I wake up every day, it's an opportunity for me to go after that vision and that dream. If I wake up today and I can move, it's an opportunity for me to hit the gym again, to be able to do this. And everybody talks about, oh, opportunity only knocks once. That's a lie. You may miss it, but opportunity doesn't knock once. Opportunity comes multiple times, but you have to be able to seize it. And the way that you seize it is by being grateful with what you have. And I remember these moments where Nadia and I would have nothing. Like I'm talking, guys, you know, using t-shirts for diapers that we talked about. We trying to figure out where we're going to eat the next, you know, the next meal. And there was this moment where we had like $400 to our account and we're living in Florida and we don't have anything, like absolutely anything. And I'm like, okay, well, Nadia's like, yo, this hurts. Because all we want to do is we want to change lives. We want to love on people, but nothing is happening. And that was a moment where I just had this thing I started feeling myself go down. And whenever you live with being ungrateful, and when you're always pointing out things that are wrong, I feel like an ungrateful mindset comes from a poverty mindset. It comes from a lack mentality, because I'm always looking at all the things that are going wrong in my life. I'm looking at all the things that aren't happening the way I wanted to. And the more you whatever you magnify will manifest in your life. So whatever I'm looking at, whatever I'm highlighting will begin to manifest in your life. You're going to see more of it. And that's your reticular activating system, right? And you talk about filter. Yumri, come on now. Hello. And what that simply is whatever you're training your brain to look at is exactly what you're going to start training yourself to see. And so in that moment, I understood without understanding it, okay, I'm feeling depression come on me. I'm not in my season right now. I got our 2 babies in the other room. I got Nadia. What is the quickest thing I can do to really enter into God's gates? Because if you need a miracle, you want to get in front of God, right? So in that moment, I remember I got up, I touched the door, and when I pulled the door open, I said, God, I thank you, God, that I have a door to my bedroom that I get to open. I walked to my refrigerator. I pulled the refrigerator open. I said, God, I thank you that I have a refrigerator. I put my hand in the refrigerator and it was cold. And I said, God, I thank you that my refrigerator works and it's cold enough to keep whatever little bit of food I have. I laid my hand on every piece of food, whether it was just ketchup, regardless. And I was thanking God that we had food. I went to my kids' room. And I put my hands on their chest and I said, God, I thank you that my kids are breathing today. I walked out to the cars and I put both hands on the cars and said, God, I thank you that we got gas in these cars, that we got 2 cars. What was I doing in that moment? I was beginning to let God know, God, I see you. I see all of the little blessings that you have. And I wonder what would happen if we would begin to sit down. And you said this in the beginning, if we begin to sit down and actually write a list of everything you're grateful for. God, I got breath in my lungs. I'm grateful. God, I can see my bed. I'm grateful. God, I can feel my toes and my fingers. I'm grateful. I moved the blanket back and peeled it back, which means that I had the ability to have warmth. I'm grateful. I was able to look at my phone today, which means whether it was Metro PCS, whether it's Cricket, whether it's Verizon, you know, T-Mobile, AT&T, whatever it is, you have a phone that you can check and you can say that you're grateful for. And so in those moments, I really feel like you break yourself out of a lack mentality when you begin to recognize all of the small things that God is giving you and you start letting them know, like, yo, I see that. And I think it's a perspective shifter.
Absolutely. It really is. And when being out of a lack mentality is what you need to go get it.
Hello.
Because if you're in a lack mentality, there's something like when you start listing things like, I'm thankful for this coffee, I'm thankful for this phone, even the small things get, like this energy in your chest, it's like it just wakes you up and it makes you want to go get it. And just to tie in like some psychology in it, you know, Maslow had his hierarchy of needs.
Right.
And at the top, it was like transcendent, where you have so much self-actualization, you have so much in abundance that you can give to others, right? And one day I was like, yo, that's a dope hierarchy of needs. But what if I just was grateful and was at transcendent and self-actualization right now, even before I had what I had, right? And if we're here to help others, what would you do if you had everything you wanted in your life right now? You had the money, you had the wife, you had the boyfriend, you had every single goal. If you had it right now,
the husband, the kids,
what would you do to serve and help others? And whatever that is, get busy doing that. That's your purpose.
Do that now.
Do that now.
Yeah.
That's how you can hack that whole hierarchy of needs. And when you see that and you're like, yo, this is what I really want to do, pray, be grateful, and get busy.
You said there's something that you said about getting busy. Part of living with that Thanksgiving is understanding that I don't have to wait till the circumstances become what I want them to be thankful, right? And they tie in happiness. And this guy asked this on this TED Talk. I forget who he was. He was like, which one comes first, happiness or gratitude? Because most people say, I got to be happy before I can be grateful.
Gratitude brings happiness.
Oh! Say that again, Doc.
Gratitude
Say that
brings
again.
happiness.
Gratitude brings happiness.
And I'm telling you, you just need to take a walk around your neighborhood, right? We're here in the Crenshaw District, Lamar Park, Los Angeles. You spin around the block one time, you're going to come back grateful for a whole lot.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to come back grateful for a whole lot, right? Because you're going to see people outside just keep buying me something to eat, right? You're going to see people in the corner with addiction. You know, all these things that, you know, a clear mind is a gift. Yeah. A clear mind is a gift. And I say that because I feel a lot of times when you're not clear, that can take away your happiness. That can take away your gratitude. But when you start giving thanks for the little things that you have, I think you realize that if I've been blessed with so much at this point, there's only more abundance to come. You know, and there's one thing I want to touch on a little bit, because I also think that faith ties into gratitude as well. And I tell people all the time, because a lot of times when you speak to somebody who's sharing their challenges or obstacles with you, one of the first things they say is, I just don't understand why God's taking me through this. I'm a believer, right? I talk to God, I pray to God, but he's not giving me the results.
Yes.
But one thing I remind people, man, faith is not easy. Why do you think there's people out there who don't have faith? If faith was easy, everybody would have it. You know how hard it is to believe in something that you can't tangibly feel or see, but you're just hoping it's going to come your way?
Right.
It's not easy. So I think a lot of times we get caught up in thinking, you know, like, God, you show me the plan first, and then I'm going to decide if I'm going to believe in you, right? Or let me see a little glimpse of what you're going to bless me with, and then I'll choose to put my faith into you. But faith isn't easy at all. And when you're going through a storm, and when you're going through what feels like hell, it's very hard to see out of that. And I think the only thing that allows you to see the bigger picture, the only thing that allows you to see outside of your current circumstances, having gratitude and the faith, and that's why I say they tie together, that it's a season in your life, right, and not a life sentence. And that's important to be able to distinguish the two.
Okay, wait, elaborate on that. When you say it's a season in your life and not a life sentence, what does that mean?
So when I got diagnosed with kidney disease, and I was told, if you don't get the kidney transplant, this is the ultimate outcome, right? So I could have took that as a life sentence. I could have took it as, there it is, that's what's going to kill me, 10 to 15 years, mid-40s, that's a life sentence, right? But see, I didn't accept it as such. And how we talked about what you choose to accept becomes your reality. I did not accept that. And what I said was, and these were my little words verbatim. When I got diagnosed, I spent 10 days in the hospital. And every single morning when I woke up in the hospital, I said, God, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know if there's something you're trying to teach me. I don't know if this is a storm I need to go through in order to bless others. But whatever you have for me, chin up, chest out, I'm ready. Take me through whatever you need me to go through to ultimately reach my purpose in life. It was a 6-year journey, bro. You know what I mean? But it was a season. It's a long season, but it was a season. I'm no longer in that season.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason I'm here today and able to go talk about things like this and get invited to Washington, D.C. and talk in front of the Senate about kidney-related issues and being a young black male with kidney disease and it being the number 9 leading cause of death and how to overcome that and try to increase the funding for resource for people that are in that same position is because I made it through that season.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean? If I hadn't made it through that season and I wasn't proactively seeking cures or actively seeking an outlet, right? And going and writing letters to foundations and saying, you know, it's a setup. They say we got to do A, B, C, and D, but then after the time we wait 10 years, we're not healthy enough to get the transplant.
Wow.
So it's advocacy, right? And the only way you can do that is by, it's a mental shift. Like it's a paradigm shift. You have to say this is a season. It's not a life sentence. And ultimately, once I make it through this season, I'll be able to bless others. If I hadn't gone through that season and that wasn't the mentality I had, I wouldn't have been able to speak on it.
What's the trip? I think how many of us assign a life sentence to something that is a season in life? Right.
Yeah.
Those life sentence moments on something that's not even big. It may be big for you in that moment, but it's not really big in the grand scheme of where your life is, right?
Yeah.
And so when you look at those life sentence moments or what you're deeming life sentence moments, bro, why do you think that it's so easy for us to magnify and really look at all the negative things? And why is it so hard for us to, or for many of us, to really be grateful or to choose to be grateful or to see the good in things?
So we had this conversation in the brew and we went wild. And I don't know if you ever preached on it, but when you're going through a season, you have an emotion, right? You have a feeling. And what do we say? I am sad. I am depressed, right? And I remember you were telling me when we were talking, you said a queen went and searched for Solomon to find out what God's name was because she knew that anything you asked in God's name will be given to her. And she wanted to figure out, I need to know what God's name is so I can ask for my stuff, right?
Right. I need that.
And I believe you found it in the Bible and you told me, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. Someone asked God, what should I tell my people your name is? And he said, I am that I am.
Yeah, that was Moses. Moses asked the question, like, yo, I got to go to Pharaoh. God said, you going to go to Pharaoh and you're going to tell people, you're going to tell him, let my people go. He's like, I got a stuttering problem, right? You're like, ain't no way you're going to send me to go do something, right?
I'm not the public speaker,
right.
Lord.
Yeah, right. He's like, yo, I'm not. So what authority do I have? Who do I tell them sent me? And then God said, tell him that I am.
That I am. I am that I am. And we're also creators. We're the gods of our life. So I think sometimes in a season we say, I am sad. I am depressed. Anything you say in my name shall be given on to you. And I think we lock ourselves into those emotions, into those feelings, into that moment and create a life sentence based on language.
So that I am statement
should be I feel or I'm experiencing rather than I am. You're not.
Right, that's a difference in a season and a life sentence, right? It's a moment.
Well, it's a possessive terminology. When you say I am struggling right now, I have cancer, I have this kidney disease, what you're doing is you're taking possession of that
identity. You're attaching it to your identity.
Exactly. So when you look at it and God says, listen, I've made you in my image. We're not the God of our life, but we have that same power flowing through us that gives us the ability to speak things into existence.
I agree 100%. Like I just read this thing on it recently and it was saying, like, instead of saying I'm sick, you say I'm recovering from.
Brother. And I think that right there begins to move you into a place.
Come on.
Where you can begin to declare the things that you need to see, and it starts the process of a grateful a grateful attitude. Yeah. You're saying, listen, I'm not my problem. I'm not what I'm going through. I say this all the time. Where you are isn't who you are, because who you are is greater than where you are.
Come on.
where you are isn't who you are, because who you are is greater than where you are. And so when I talk in gratitude, what I'm doing is I'm declaring something that God has shown me in the future, and I'm declaring it for me right now. And so I don't have to wait till I see it for me to be grateful for it. I'm gonna thank God in advance because I know He's going to end up doing it. And I think I love Marvin Sapp, man. His songs, I mean, I call him Uncle Marvin too. But he has this song, and he talks about being a conditional praiser. And he says you can't wait until the situation gets better for you to start thanking God for it. That's called a conditional praiser. But when you're an unconditional praiser, that means regardless of the situation I'm in, regardless of how much money I have in my bank account, regardless of what the report is from somebody else, I'm going to choose in this moment to speak my future in advance. And it's no longer lying. It's you say, no, I'm speaking my truth in advance. And I think that when you begin to do that, look, depression and joy, depression and gratefulness cannot coexist in the same sentence, or even coexist in the same room.
Not in the same space.
Not even in the same space. So when you're dealing with depression, it's because of the loss that you have. You're feeling hopeless. You're feeling like there's nothing there. But when you begin to shift, and I feel like thankfulness, and while we said that gratitude is a new currency to elevation, because when you start getting thankful for stuff, you start recognizing, oh shoot, like I'm blessed. You start recognizing, like, oh shoot, like if you got more than one shoe in your closet, you blessed. If you got more than one jacket to wear, you're blessed. More than one pant to wear, you're blessed. Shoot, even if you got a pair of shoes, you blessed. You got feet to put that on, you're blessed. Even if you don't have any legs, you still have your arms, you're blessed. Even if you don't have any arms or no legs, you still have your voice, you still have your eyesight, you still have your ears, you still have air. So I feel like we wait too long to be grateful. And when you wait too long to be grateful, you miss out on all the opportunities that's around you that you have to take advantage and change your life and your relationship. So let me ask you this. Fellas, weigh in on this. In a world that is constantly showing us the end result of other people, in a world that is constantly telling us if you don't drive this car, you haven't made it yet. If you ain't wearing this, if you're not wearing this designer, you haven't made it yet. If you don't have X amount of money or amount of properties, or you don't have NFTs or cryptos, right? You haven't made it.
10,000 followers.
Right.
Ain't influencing nobody.
100%. Like you got 2 followers, but you calling yourself an influencer, right? And so you start doubting that. How has comparison, or does comparison even, has it crept in and hindered what we can be thankful for? Or how do you think comparison really jacks up our mindset when it comes to being grateful or living with a Thanksgiving in a mindset?
I do. And I think a lot of times the issue and the cancer that comes along with comparison is that you're expecting, first of all, you're looking at someone else's story, right? So that's not what God has for you. That's what God has for them, right? So now you're wondering, how come I'm not being blessed with that? But the thing is, we have to understand that, and I touched on this on our last episode, in episode 6, is that you are the author of your own life, right? So each day is a blank page, and you need to get up and create your own story. It's not look at Roy's Instagram and take some of his chapter and take some of Jeff's chapter and go back and add those into yours. That's not the way this narrative goes. You know what I mean? And I think that what's important to also realize is that I think a lot of us miss out on opportunities because it's dressed as hard work. You know, it's dressed in a way that doesn't look appealing.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
When you look at those people's results, it just looks like it came easy to them. And, oh, Lord, they don't look like they're working hard. How come they got the house? They don't look like I've been praying and we lost our home and, that type of thing. But you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And we spoke about that a little bit, right? And it's kind of segueing a little bit, but I think it's important to mention is that, there were some comments that were made that were just like, it looks like you guys have been around for a long time. You guys just popped out and you're getting these views and getting these subscribers, et cetera, et cetera. But with Jeff and I, we almost had some emotional conversation on the way up, man. We were getting choked up. And the thing is that we were telling people is that we didn't just wake up one day with stories to tell. It's years and years and years of L's behind the scenes, right? You don't see the losses and the devastation and the trauma and the tears that were cried to put us in these positions. So to answer your question, I think a lot of times the comparison is a is a cancer, and because I can speak from my own experience that I took some life altering L's behind the scenes that I've now can say I was blessed to take, because now I feel those L's have allowed me to be in a position where I can hopefully make an impact in someone else's life and share my experiences with them. But I think we need to stop comparing our stories to someone else's and be grateful for where you're currently at. And if you can be in that gratitude mode, you know, a mode of just being grateful for the little things, I believe that's how we get blessed with more.
And you got to be able to put the work in. You know, you'll be surprised how many people tell me, they'll see me on Instagram working out and be like, "Yo, in give me 3 to 6 months, and I'm gonna catch you." And I'm like, dude, I've been working every day since I was 15.
Yeah.
How are you going to pack in 3 to 6 months what I've done in 20, 25 years? It's not going to happen. You got to put in the work in every day. And people are jealous of other people's time. And so I'll say it right now. A lot of times on Instagram, you could say it's partly my fault. I'll act like something's easy and like I was just special and I can just do it. It's not how it works. It's extremely hard. And I've been doing it, and I've been doing it every day. And sometimes I will act like it's easy, but it's not. It's not easy at all. You got to get in there every single day. You got to pray every single day. You got to start treating these habits and your dream like brushing your teeth. It's something you got to do all the time.
The secret to your success lies in your daily habits.
Absolutely.
It's in your daily habits,
Absolutely.
bro. Period. Every single day, what you do will manifest because it eventually turns from a habit to a lifestyle.
100%.
You know what I mean? And so it's not about having a habit of gratefulness or having a habit of gratitude. No, it's about living a lifestyle of gratitude and being grateful. And then that's how other things become to manifest. But as we begin to wrap the show up, I kind of want to give it to you a little bit and allow you to touch on this a little bit, because for someone who spent a season of what could have been a life sentence, right? I guess what I want to ask for you to kind of give someone some tangibles and some things they could take away from is that when you're in a season that feels like a life sentence, you know, and we've talked about how, and I'm sure we can all kind of relate to this, when you wake up and you first say, I don't feel good today, I'm having a bad day. Then you come out the room and maybe your significant other's tripping. Then the kids are acting up. Then you go out to the car don't start, right? It's this domino effect. And I think that can quickly go from a day to a month to a year to a season, right? So how do you break that cycle to go from things just aren't going my way to a lifestyle of gratitude so that you can ultimately begin receiving your greatest blessing? I know you said it starts here, but how do you get here? Well, where's the shift take place?
The first thing that you got to do, and the first thing I do every single day, especially with 2 teenagers, Doc,
right,
and being there.
That's why I said, who better to answer than you,
Doc? hey, the first thing that I tell myself is that you are not what you feel, you are what you decide. Who? You are not what you feel, you are what you decide. Feelings come and go.
Come on, talk about it.
Feelings change. Feelings are up and down.
They're fickle.
They're fickle. And too many times we base our life and we base decisions that we make off of feelings.
In that moment.
Yeah. And so you didn't have a bad day. You had a bad moment and you milked it for a whole day.
Come on, bro.
Right? And so these are the big changes that we get to make. Is number one, I tell myself, Jeff, you are not what you feel. You are what you decide. So what do I have to decide in this moment for me to get myself out of it? The second thing you got to understand is whether you acknowledge it or not, we all love to play the victim.
Victim mentality.
Because being a victim is comfortable. Because as long as I play a victim, then that means that I don't have to take responsibility for where I am right now. And Stephen Covey says, and we talked on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says you have to acknowledge, number one, that you are where you are. You have what you have right now solely because of the choices and the decisions that you've made. Well, Jeff, Roy, Cam, somebody else did this to me when I was younger, and I'm sorry that happened. But guess what? You still get to decide how you move forward and how that moment defines you. And so when I was in prison, 16 years to life, 6 armed robberies and attempted murder. When I'm looking at that moment, every moment that I woke up, I looked at the bars, I was reminded of my mistakes.
Right.
Every time it was count time, I was reminded of my mistakes. When they stopped calling me by my name and started calling me a number, I was reminded by my mistakes. But every moment that I woke up, I began to shift my perspective and see these COs as drill sergeants that were training me for something next in my life. And I made the decision. Don't let me pause it. I saw the COs as drill sergeants that were training me for the next season of my life instead of getting bitter about it. And so in that moment, I had to decide, okay, Jeff, who are you going to be right now? And moving forward in that and understanding who I'm going to be right now is what allowed me to be able to call those things that are not as though they were. I began to understand, like, okay, hold on. If I am not what I feel and I'm what I decide, what decision do I need to make to get me through this season of my life? And so I wish I could give you guys a 6-part series, but the greatest thing that could happen to marriages, to fatherhoods, to moms, to people who are broke, to athletes, to trainers.
Test it.
Decide.
Yeah.
You talked about that. Yeah. It's your decision. New Year's is coming up. I'm not making a New Year's resolution.
Come on.
I'm making a New Year's decision.
Woo.
And I ain't waiting for the new year to do it.
I'm gonna do it now.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Come on, bro.
You feel me?
When you make that decision, the action's gonna follow.
It's gonna fall. And that was the biggest thing that I realized.
You gotta take action.
And I'm gonna toss it to you, but I gotta say this is that when you understand that your feelings or the feelings that you're looking for, they always follow once you decide.
So you can change your feelings by deciding and then taking action. And then next thing you know, you're creating what you want to create.
You feel me? And so you have to decide that I'm going to love my husband, I'm going to love my wife. And as soon as you make that decision, your actions will follow that decision and you'll feel the feeling of love. You have to decide you want to get in shape. And once you decide that, you move into the
You'll
gym.
be motivated to get to the
Then
gym.
you know
I'm
what I'm
going
saying?
to decide to heal, decide to recover, decide to be clean.
Exactly. And then every decision leads you to a moment of gratitude. Oh my God, I'm thankful, God, that I get to hit the gym today. I hit it today. Man, I'm thankful that my wife and I had a great day, a great moment. I'm thankful that I hit the books and I was able to get that, that thing. So being in this place, because we can go on forever, but it's Thanksgiving. It's our Thanksgiving thing. Dips, what is your mindset on this, and what is your thoughts on this, bro, as we get to this moment?
I love that you said decide. So those side words, homicide, all those side words means to kill off.
Whoa.
So when you make a decision and you decide, you're going to have to
kill off.
Come on, dog.
Dog, you gonna have me running around right now.
You're gonna have to kill off
right now.
You're complaining. You're gonna have to kill off all of those bad things that are holding you back. You kill those, and the only thing that's left, because like you said, joy, gratitude can't be in the same space as depression. This room could be pitch dark, but as soon as you cut the lights on, the darkness is removed from the entire room.
Yes,
come on,
sir.
You got to kill off. What's the Bible say, Jeff? If your arm defies you,
it causes you to sin.
It causes you to sin.
Yeah. It's
cut it off. Kill off what isn't serving you and your purpose, and not serving your emotions.
Wow. Wait. Kill off what is not serving
you
in your purpose.
Serving you and your purpose. And serving your emotions. You know, we say don't follow your emotions.
Serving
you
your purpose
decide.
or your emotions.
Wow.
That is a decision that will change your life, bro. That's
That's an oily
I
moment,
feel this way, but this is my purpose.
Man, look, there's a saying. I'm gonna end it with this because y'all got me mind blown right now, man. I'm over here like about to take notes on my phone in a minute, but there's a saying.
I'm about to take up an offering right now.
Right. There's a saying that says that when we're children, we look like our parents. When we become adults, we look like our life choices.
Ooh.
And I think as we get older, I think the way I think it holds true to the way your life looks, right? So when you're 50, 60, 70 years old, I think your life looks like the sacrifices that you chose to make or you chose not to make. And that's the life you will ultimately live when you're older. So I think Gary Vee said one time, if you want to be inspired to take massive action in your life, go volunteer at an assisted living clinic or a senior citizen home.
Right.
Because there's nothing worse than looking someone in the eye who knows they have limited time to live, that their life is basically over, right? They're on hospice, they're waiting to pass away, and seeing regret, right? So I did that because I felt like I needed to be inspired, and I went down and volunteered at an assisted living center. And the stories those people will tell you will change your life. What do you regret most in your life? At 96 years old, I regretted taking the love of my life for granted and cheating on my wife and losing my family. I regret being a victim to addiction and not having a clear mind.
Talk about it, Ken.
I regret not following up on my dreams, right? Not taking massive action behind ideas, not taking the steps needed to inspire others, right? Now I'm 96 years old and I'm dying with all these life experiences I didn't get to share with anyone else. For me, that's why I'm here. That's why I show up every week. That's why we have this podcast. Yeah. Because what I've gone through in 35 years, I know will change lives. And I'm grateful to have made it out that season. And I hope that this podcast inspired someone else to be grateful and to live a lifestyle of gratitude to hopefully, change those that they care about.
Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons.
Come on, bro.
That's from the compound effect.
That's it. That's it.
And I think regardless of where you are, regardless of what you feel you have or what you don't have, if you're in the throes of addiction, I recently lost a brother a few months ago from that lifestyle. And one of the things that he taught me is even in the worst place, he would always be grateful that he had another day.
Come on.
That he got to impact somebody. He had another day that he got to point to people, and he would tell people, man, that God still loves them and that God's still around. Even in the midst of him dealing with mental health issues, he always found a moment in a pocket to be grateful. And if I could leave you guys with something during this Thanksgiving season, hug your loved ones. Tell them that you're thankful for them being around. Be grateful that you even get to argue with a sibling and that you get to argue or hug your mom and dad and be around in that moment, to be able to be around family and brothers like they have right here. And whether you're in the throes of addiction, be grateful that you had another day of sobriety, being sober, or another day that you get to wake up to fight.
Come on.
And to be able to do it. This life is a fight. And I'm grateful to be able to do it here with my brothers. And I want you guys to know also that during this holiday season, during Thanksgiving, you got so much to be grateful for. If you're listening to this podcast, we want you to know that we're thankful for you.
Absolutely.
We're grateful for you guys. And I know there's more to come. So if y'all fellas, what do you guys have to say? Anything left?
No, just, I appreciate all the love and support we've been getting. And like you said, sometimes it takes childlike faith, bro. You know, how children have that belief where they just believe that, no matter how bad I was this year, Santa gonna come, right?
Right.
Sometimes that's what it takes. You just got to expect the results and know they're coming. Go through your season, man, and you're going to make it out.
Love that. That's what you got for him, bro.
Man, do it. Just be grateful. Practice it. Literally close your eyes and focus on what you have and what you can be grateful for. You have life. You woke up. You're alive. And you have plenty to be grateful for.
Go fight. Go fight.
And loving on y'all, man.
That's it. Episode 7 in the books. Boy.
Yeah. Hey, this is another episode. Again, thank you for rocking with us, the Bros to Men podcast. Make sure that you click the like button. Leave your comments. Leave some things that you want to know. Subscribe. Share this with somebody. And we're excited to get to do some more. So happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We want you guys to know that you're loved and you're appreciated.
Love y'all.
Peace.